It is because of him.
Yeah.
And so whether the evangelical movement or the Republican Party embraces him, again, there will be political judgment, but in my faith, there will also be judgment from God.
Yeah.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. This week, while accepting a Collegiate Award, NBC nightly news anchor Lester Holt dismissed objective reporting and let us know that fairness is overrated.
I think it's become clearer that fairness is overrated. Well, before you run off and tweet that headline, let me explain a bit. The idea that we should always give two sides equal weight and merit does not reflect the world we find ourselves in.
A world where the leftist media needs to lead its audience.
We must help our audiences understand what our role is in a healthy democracy. Because if we're not asking the right questions, who is?
Yes, the right questions. All to push a leftist narrative anyway. CNN had plenty of clown questions for every occasion this week. New Day's John Avallone brought on Virginia Governor Ralph Blackface Northam for a shockingly soft interview.
2 years ago, you were being inundated with calls for your resignation after decades-old photos in blackface were discovered. You apologized, you refused to resign, and you've gone on to pass some very significant legislation as governor with high approval ratings. I'm wondering what political lessons you learned from that experience and whether they should apply, in your opinion, to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Trying to make the case that Democrats should forgive and forget with Andrew Cuomo.
Because if we're not asking the right questions, who is?
See, the media doesn't ask real questions. Sometimes they don't even use real words. The Associated Press this week putting out a memo saying not to call Biden's border crisis a crisis. Crisis denotes danger or trouble. Instead, use the term problem or a political challenge for Biden. And as the leftist media push their agenda, sometimes they end up actually creating some more questions.
So that's interesting. Go after the murderers. You know, the NRA says, I think it says, guns don't kill, people kill, right? And yet, I have today been listening to security and law enforcement experts who have, you know, joined the dots from all the terrible names that we can, you know, enumerate of the sites of mass shootings over the last several years. And the one constant is actually a gun, the AR-15. It is the only weapon that is designed to kill, not just wound.
Really? The AR-15 is the only gun that's made to kill? I guess all other guns are made to create perforations. People aren't prevalent in murder crimes. Christine Amanpour might want to ask some questions, especially since she's reporting on the stance of the NRA and she's not even really sure about what their statement is.
You know, the NRA says, I think it says, guns don't kill, people kill, right?
Amanpour and company, good old government state media, PBS, funded by our tax dollars. ABC News obviously is also working as an arm of the Biden administration as they spewed lies and misinformation this week about Republican efforts to increase the integrity of elections in Georgia. Or as they frame it, target black voters who helped Biden win in Georgia.
President Biden is clearly fired up, upset about this new law in Georgia. His team and other critics say that black voters who helped him win there in Georgia, helped him get here to the White House, are being targeted with this new law and will be impacted the very most.
Targeting. I wonder how the law and other proposed bills are so narrowly and racially targeted.
The law limits ballot drop boxes, adds new requirements for mail-in voting, and makes it a crime for anyone other than a poll worker to offer food and water to voters waiting in line. President Biden saying the Department of Justice is looking into it.
Maybe Biden's team will figure out how those measures target just black voters. ABC's not giving any information on that for some reason. Maybe they're not asking questions.
Because if we're not asking the right questions, who is?
This was brought to you by Geico. Give them a ring and tell them where they can remove their advertising in 15 minutes or less. Something that takes less than 15 minutes is MSNBC hosts and pundits claiming to know and understand the will of God. Yes, it seems as we get closer to Easter, Joy Reid and Never Trumper David Jolly know and discuss what will bring about God's wrath and judgment. And guess what? It's hugely based on whether or not you support Donald Trump.
It is because of him.
Yeah.
And so whether the evangelical movement or the Republican Party embraces him, again, there will be political judgment, but in my faith, there will also be judgment from God.
Yeah, well, hard to argue with that right before Easter.
It is. It's hard to argue against that. maybe it's time to ask some questions over at the NBC, MSNBC offices.
Because if we're not asking the right questions, who is?
Oh, yeah. Because while the extreme leftist media claims to know the will of God, they always seem kind of happy to promote the will of someone else.
How the Call Me By Your Name singer is confronting homophobia and selling out a special edition of Satan shoes.
Sure, confronting homophobia while selling Satan shoes. I mean, what could be more normal to the leftist media? But God's judgment, that's definitely coming for Trump supporters. That's a topic of discussion. That is all the insanity I can stand. I'm Eric Shiner from MRC-TV, asking you to head over to the MRC Store. There's no evil footwear there, but there is some great conservative gear. Please check it out. Please check out MRCTV.org for the latest and greatest stories and videos. Be sure to like and share and subscribe to our product on a variety of social media platforms. There's Rumble, Facebook, Clapper, many others. We're on them all. And we'll be back with some more leftist media wackiness next week.